Just ADR.
They're just making it.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just pretending.
Exactly.
Okay, so since this is a new show, I like to have everybody just kind of describe their character and what they're about in their own words. Who is TC?
Okay, I have to try and not they got this blurb. He was just quoting the blurb to me about the character, so I'm trying to remember not say what Carl said. I'm not very good at describing things in a quick amount of words. I think TC is a very he's a very dysfunctional character, but at the same time is very lovable and charismatic, which kind of makes him as a person fascinating to me anyway, because he's somebody who is very very caring and very definite about what he wants to do, and because there's no real structure to kind of how he sees things, he just is. So he kind of lives everything in a moment. He's very present, and I think that's what's very important for him as a doctor, because he's very present. Everything at that time becomes very important. So he's kind of hyper aware and hypersensitive, and because he's hypersensitive and has a very interesting and disrupted past, it makes him he's a very up and down type of person. So I think that's what's interesting to him. The parameters to TC are kind of, instead of being in a box, they're kind of out there.
Yeah, so. Yeah, definitely saw that in the pilot. What kind of adventures are we going to see him? I mean, he's not afraid to just jump out and get himself in trouble as long as a patient, if it's going to save a patient, he doesn't really care. Does he keep that up?
Yeah, he does, because TC doesn't really care. And it's a weird thing. It's not a masochism. TC doesn't really care about himself that much, because there's a kind of because he's got this history where he kind of has a certain dislike for what has happened and for himself. He does not care. For TC, the most important thing is other people and saving other people. So even if you remember in the pilot, there's a scene with Drew and so forth. Well, TC is an alpha male and is quite macho. He also is quite a caring person, which I think hopefully makes people identify with him, because even though this guy can be a bit of a dick, he's a dick because he's actually trying to help people, and he's very selfish from an emotional point of view, yet at the same time everything is also towards other people, if that makes sense. So he's kind of a weird juxtaposition of a character, which is a lot of fun to play.
I bet. So now we've got this, we didn't really see him in the pilot, but we've got this Jordan's fiance is now joined the group, and now you have to work with your ex-girlfriend and her new fiance. How is that going to work out?
That's just awkward, right? I mean, that's just awkward in real life. You know what I mean? This is like the fucking shittiest situation ever. It's like, so here's your ex-bird, and we're going to throw in the fact that she's got a boyfriend, and like, that sucks. I think that automatically sucks, and I think it automatically makes it difficult. I think it especially becomes difficult because Scott, Jordan's boyfriend, is given a position where he's actually meant to be in charge and actually telling TC what to do. So, yeah, that's not going to work out so well, right? That just doesn't make any sense. Not to TC anyway. So he's not going to listen to that.
No, I can imagine.
So, no. So they have a few run-ins and stuff, but to one or two occasions where it almost impinges on an actual patient. So it's interesting that they don't quite take it that far, because it almost seems like it might start to affect people having their lives saved, but it doesn't. So it's very, it's a balance.
So neither one of them will go take it that far.
Not quite that far.
Okay.
No.
Well, that's good.
But close.
Yeah, close. Yeah. We've already seen in the pilot that he got into it with Ragosa. How is their relationship? Did they, Ragosa punched him back and said, "We're even." Are they truly even, or is that still on?
I think actually that scene's very important, the one in the bathroom, because I think from TC's point of view, that's where he actually respects Ragosa a lot more, because he respects somebody who stands up and sticks up for themselves and what they believe in, even if it's not what he believes in. At least somebody can be definitive about what they think is right. And I think with Ragosa, I think that kind of doesn't draw a line. It draws a line under everything for the moment between the two of them, and there's a bit more of a respect there because of that. I think if Ragosa hadn't done that, TC would have respected him less. But the fact that he does, and that's also a male machismo thing, right?
Right.
Like, you hit me, you hit me back, fine, we're even.
Yeah.
So,
So if he's would you say then they're getting along better, or is it just in
they
the
kind
background?
of avoid each other a lot more, and I think it's a bit more of a casual respect. I use casual because on the surface is more of a respect thing, but it kind of doesn't really. It's not quite there, but they've kind of developed an understanding.
Interesting. Yeah. So if he's getting along better with Ragosa, then is some of that aggression now going towards poor Scott?
Yeah, I think so. I think TC is the kind of character that actually needs to have an outlet to focus on. So I think even though I think maybe because he is spending so much time looking after other people, he actually needs to be able to throw this shit somewhere else, as it were. So there does need to be a source of a source for him to kind of throw away all the kind of negative stuff that boils inside him. So he does need an outlet.
Yeah. Is that part of where the partying comes in? Where he?
I think so. Yeah. I think it's also because it's actually very It's stressful acting this character sometimes, and I can imagine doing it in real life, working for 12 to 14 hours. It would be stressful as hell working on the night shift. A lot of respect for people who have to do that because it's hard just acting it. So I'd say it's very stressful. I think you need to kind of have some way to alleviate your stress. And I think for a lot of people that comes in alcohol and drugs and so forth, just kind of whatever kind of takes people's minds off things, right?
So if playing how stressful he is that, would you say that's the toughest part of playing TC, or is maybe the medical jargon?
All the sensitive stuff. Every now and again they want sensitive scenes. You're like, really? Come on. This stuff is like, oh God. To deliver babies and stuff. And like, oh Christ, that stuff.
His softer side. That's the tough part.
That's the crap stuff. You're like, okay. That's the way I don't like.
Really?
Yeah, it's more fun doing the kind of heavy stuff, or the kind of the action stuff, or saying medical jargon. That's kind of more interesting. You have to do kind of like sensitive. That's so delicate.
So are we going to see a little bit of a softer side from TC this season?
Side to him, but it's obviously juxtaposed with a nice level of hardness, should we say?
So how's the relationship with Jordan going forward, especially with everything that's going on? But specifically, how are they getting along, TC and Jordan?
I think they have a very strange relationship because they're very. I think anything in life with an ex is a certain, because they don't hate each other, there's a certain ease about the two of them, and then there's also that certain tension, but it's not it's a very destructive relationship. So it's a strange thing that they get on very well, and they're also working together, and they work together very well, but they're always at odds. And also any kind of sexual relationship would be very destructive. So it's kind of almost harming. It's almost like a self-harming thing to engage in it. So it's. But at the same time, they're drawn to each other, so it's... Right. Yeah.
So in a way, it might be... Is it easier than having Scott around? Is almost that barrier?
No, I think that makes it worse. I think that makes it kind of makes more of a... there's a reality to her being with someone else then, as opposed to this little fantasy. So once Scott comes in, it kind of cements the distance between the two of them, which in a way brings them closer.
Wow, interesting. Ouch, that's going to be one heck of a relationship to watch as it goes through the season. And in terms of his medical techniques, he fights against. I know,
right?
It got after me too, that little bugger. I'll cut that out.
It's good.
Just say that.
I wasn't even talking about the cursing. I was talking about the fly that landed on his face.
She's Irish as well.
I'm totally fine with the cursing.
Totally
Our reader, I'll just put a warning up for the readers.
Yeah.
You guys are going to hear some curse words. Get over it. But watch out for the fly that lands around, 8 minutes in. Yeah, that's disgusting.
The fly is super fucking awkward, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah, everyone comes up, we don't know what to do.
If it landed on me, it doesn't matter. I'm not a killer. Anyway, so his issues with authority and wanting to do medical procedures his own way. What do you think the reason is behind why he won't conform to just doing it the way that they're doing it now? I mean, he's home now. He's in a regular hospital now.
I think there's a couple of things. I think one is because I think he can get indoctrinated into acting a certain way. And I think if you've been in a military situation, a TC, I personally as well can completely identify this. I don't like being told what to do. So I think when he was even in the army, he didn't like being told what to do. So he did things his own way. And it's almost a purposeful thing to kind of reaffirm his own independence and sense of self, that I'm going to do it this way. And there's almost a tiny part where he tries to make things more difficult to make it more interesting for himself. So if you got some guy who's super smart, he knows how to do the basics. He's going to try, like anything, you're going to try and do something different to see, is there a way I can do this quicker and better? But also, I think following certain regulations is frustrating for him because it takes time, and he doesn't like doing that. And it's also, I think, essentially because he's then following a pattern, a systematic pattern, which is where he's told what to do. So he doesn't like doing that. So he's not doing it whereby it's dangerous. It's actually, what the stuff he does is almost better in a way, but at the same time there's a reason why there is rules and regulations, because it's a safer practice, but he knows what he's doing, so
Right, so it kind of kills two birds with one stone for him.
Sort of.
He doesn't have to do it. He saves his patience, but he also doesn't have
He's
to
probably
conform.
basically a genius, right?
I would think so.
That's how I'm
Yeah. Is that how you're playing him?
I am from now on after this conversation. I'm like, yeah, he's a genius, you're right.
He's
It's
totally
playing
a
them.
genius.
And I bring everything, it's all myself to bring into it.
What would you say you admire about him the most?
The genius part?
The genius part?
The genius part. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I like that. So, I think we already covered that one. You know, I think we covered all of my questions.
Oh, we did?
Thank you.
Oh,
yeah.
no, well, thank you. Thank
Sometimes
you.
it goes
and
faster.
on the bell as well.
I know. Wow, that was timing, wasn't it?
Timing is everything in life. Yeah.
Oh, wait.
And they're rolling.
Yeah, except it doesn't matter. You said it doesn't
I
matter.
don't really care. Well, yeah. Because I'm not